Hey, what's good, YouTube? We're going to talk about a topic for today. The topic for today is OKC. They haven't been able to score. They haven't been able to close games. They haven't been able to play defense for a full 48 minute. Russell Westbrook has always been streaky. Sometimes he can get hot. Most times he is a below 40% from the field shooter. He's very streaky from three. He can hurt you a lot from three, and at the same time, he can miss a lot from three. But he can make big threes and big plays, and he can also flop and give up the ball and miss a lot of shots in the fourth quarter. You know, he had 20 points in the fourth quarter yesterday, but he still didn't shoot the ball very well. He shot it good enough, though. But at the same time, they was behind so much that they defense didn't kick into gear to get stops. So he ended up getting 20 points in the fourth quarter, but they couldn't stop anybody on the Magic, and they ended up losing regardless of his dominant fourth quarter that gave him a chance to win, but not good enough because they were losing the whole game. Another thing is Paul George. I told you guys when the trade happened that Paul George is a great two-way player. The problem with Paul George is he settles for jumpers. If his jump shot is not falling, he has little impact on the game. He is a solid rebounder. He is a solid playmaker, especially when it comes to the playoffs. When he gets to the playoff, he plays a little bit harder. He plays a little bit more efficiently, and he's a better playmaker when you put the ball in his hand. He either is going to score or pass. But in a regular season, he's a decent passer and a solid rebounder. He upped his game a little bit more in the playoffs, especially maybe because the coach asked him to do more. But his role is reduced in OKC, so he doesn't have to do as much as he would if he was in Indiana. And it really has affected him because he hasn't really got that many. I know he got one high 30 and 140-point game, but other than that, he's been hovering around below 40% too. I told the guys that Paul George is streaky. If his jump shot is not falling, he has a very little impact offensively in games, and he's not shooting that well either. He's shooting 42% from the field, but he is a sniper from three, and he can make difficult shots, and he can make difficult threes, and he can just basically be a knockdown three-point shooter. The only problem, like I said, is if he's not knocking down jumpers, if he's not feeling it, he can go cold because he doesn't get to the paint enough unless he's in transition, because he gets a lot of steals, and Russell gets a lot of steals so they can get out and run. Other than that, Paul George settles a lot for jumpers. He's fine with that, and that has always been his Achilles heel. If the jumper's not falling, you know, he becomes irrelevant in the offense unless it's in the playoffs. Carmelo, the guy can still rebound. He can still score on this level. He still can make impacts. He still can hit big shots. He hit a lot of big shots already for the Thunder. Sadly, hasn't really equaled to wins because they haven't been winning. But he fell into the same category I told you guys before. Carmelo is a guy that likes to settle for jumpers like Paul George. He doesn't take it to the hole enough. And if his jump shot isn't falling, you know, he's streaky from three. Some games he can go high from three. Some games he can go low because the three-point shot is the hardest shot in the game. You're relying on a difficult shot every single game, and if you don't shoot it right, if you don't shoot it soft enough, you don't shoot it the right way, you're taking a difficult shot all the way throughout the whole game, and you're relying on that. I'm not saying that it's stupid because so many people rely on the three now, but it's the most difficult shot in the game. From three, from the three-point line and further, those are the most difficult shots in the game. And when you're relying on it, it's either you're going to have to be a great three-point shooter or you're going to be having up and down games when you rely on the three ball so much. And he's shooting a lot of threes at that. He's shooting 6 a game, which is a lot, but his modern day NBA is not. Paul George is shooting almost 8 a game. He's shooting 7.8 threes a game, and he's not getting to the free throw line enough. And neither is Carmelo because they're settling for jumpers. And like I said, the jump shot is the hardest shot in the game, and their field goal percentage has impact in that. They haven't really been scoring within the offense. A lot of their shots are contested. A lot of their shots is off the dribble. A lot of their shots, Paul George do shoot a lot of spot up threes still in OKC, but you know, a lot of them do be difficult. A lot of them do be over the hand of another player, and a lot of them do be settling. They settle for the threes when they can get a better shot. So we'll see what happens. Their defense has been solid. They play with a lot of interaction. They like to get their hands up. They like to play the passing lanes. They use their athleticism with Robertson, with Russell, with Paul George to make active plays, have active hands, chase down blocks, and they play with a lot of effort and energy defensively. They just can't stop people in the fourth quarter, and it seemed like everybody has a great game against them. Aaron Gordon had a couple good games, but he had one of his best games against them. And Victor had one that's like everybody steps up and plays and beats OKC. It's like they players just have a great game, you know. And we thought after the Thunder had beat the Golden State Warriors, oh, now they're prepared. Now they're showing their potential. Now we seeing how good they could be, and they haven't been able to do it consistently. The question that everybody wants to know, and I'm going to answer, will OKC make the playoffs? And the answer is common sense to me. They're scoring 102 points a game. That's not enough. But I never thought they'd be a great offensive team because they had to learn how to gel together. They had to know their roles, and they're going to have to know how the plays work and how they should use the plays and the counteractive plays. Where if they stop the play, can they go into another play besides isolation ball? They're not a great rebounding team, but Steven Adams never been a great dominant rebounder, especially because he has Russ on his team. Paul George has been a solid rebounder, and so has Carmelo. I thought their rebounding would be a lot higher. Their assists, I'm not really surprised because most of them was isolation plays. That's how they used to play, and they still, like I said, learning chemistry, learning plays, and learning how to play against each other. But they're great defensively, not allowing that much points and having active hands and steals and blocks. But I'm not really surprised about that because they have athleticism and they have length at those certain positions. Right now they're 8-12 and they are not in the playoffs. The Clippers and the Jazz has a better record. The thing that I'm going to tell y'all why they're going to make the playoffs is injuries. If this team can play, if this team can be healthy for at least 1 month and make one run, say if they go on a 5 or 6 game winning streak, that might be all they need to do just to make the playoffs because Blake Griffin is out, Rudy Gobert is out, Danilo is out, Patrick Beverly out for the rest of the year. You have so many injuries to the Clippers that I thought they would be in the playoffs. I thought they would make the playoffs, but the injuries has destroyed their season. So instead of me believing that they're going to make the playoffs, now it's kind of obvious that the Clippers most likely will not. The Jazz, if they can hold it together, they own the tiebreaker right now. And Rudy Gobert, if he can come back dominant and healthy, maybe they can still make a run for the playoffs. But we don't know when Gobert is coming back, and we don't know if they're going to suffer another big injury. But I don't see nobody on OKC really getting injured because they really don't have big injuries the last couple seasons. So based off that, I'm going to say OKC going to make the playoffs just because they're going to be healthier. And if they can just go on a small run, 5 or 6 game winning streak to put them above 500. And even if they play mediocre basketball after a win streak, that 3-4 games above 500 would probably help them make the playoffs at a 7 or 8 seed. We all thought they'd be 3rd, 4th, or 5th, but as long as you get in the playoffs and you have a chance. Injuries can happen. Y'all can get hot. Y'all can get the chemistry. Y'all can be a totally different team than y'all was in the beginning of the season. Y'all can be a better team at the ending of the season. And everybody can be clicking and everybody can know their roles. So anything can happen. Just make the playoffs and see what happens. See if somebody steps up. See if Paul George get hot. See if Russell Westbrook can finally take over fourth quarters consistently and make big plays, whether it's offensively or defensively or just making a play with the passing. So to me, I just want to see if they can stay healthy, and if they do, they're gonna have a chance because all the other teams that's trying to make the playoffs are not. The Lakers are a team that's interesting. Memphis, they lost Mike Conley, even though they're not that far from OKC. It's gonna be hard to see Memphis making the playoffs if they can't go on the run. When Mike Conley comes back, it's gonna be hard for them to make the playoffs. The Pelicans should be fine because every other team is injured right now, and they have a above 500 record, even though it's only one game. So I think the Thunder should be fine. I think they have finally gone on a little winning streak by the time the season is over. And then if they can get over 500, I think they stay above 500, even if it's barely, and they snag that 5, 6, 7, or 8th seed. And if they do that, they'll be finding a team that I wouldn't want to play. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Is the Thunder a great team? Can they play together? Should they make a move? Should they trade? Should they put Carmelo on the bench? Or you just think that they just don't fit and they don't play well together because how their style of plays is, and they might not be compatible as much as we think, because we thought, hey, Russell Westbrook, he can put Russell Westbrook with some good shooters around him, and he should be fine like James Harden. They put good shooters around him, and they still not winning games. And Russell Westbrook is still inefficient and turn the ball over like crazy, and he hasn't really had dominant high field goal percentage fourth quarters either. So he plays a part into losing just like any other star player on any team. Check out my website at NosisPlayground.com. If you're on YouTube, the link will be in the description, comment section below. Also check out my Facebook page, NosisPlayground.com. Link will be in the description, comment section below. And let me know what you guys think about the OKC Thunder and if they're going to make the playoffs.